Hello, this is Ask DeFacto update on what's happening in Mongolia for last few days, or about 2 weeks or so. This is Jargal, DeFacto. We will talk about 3 things today. One is COVID state in Mongolia. Second, economic stimulus plan of the new government. The third is political spring begins. These are the 3 main topics we are going to cover today. About the COVID battle in Mongolia. Lockdown during the Lunar New Year has ended on February 23. Now 6 days since that, or 5 days. And a new government has new approach now. One door, one test approach, unlike the previous one, which was just following the positive cases and the contacts whenever they found it. But this time, the government had organized total or almost all families in Ulaanbaatar city, which is the only epicenter of COVID-19 in Mongolia. There are the other remote areas or other than Ulaanbaatar city, there is no COVID case anymore. So by today, for last 2 weeks, almost 500,000 people are tested. And from this program, one door, one test, some 100+ cases were found, which made the battle way easier, because they found these cases where the people were not expecting. By now, total 1.6 million Mongolians are tested with PCR. And by today, for the whole year, for more than 1 year, we have total 2,831 infected cases. 75% of them are recovered. We have 6 deaths because coronavirus in Mongolia, and average 40 infections a day is being found nowadays, which relatively were less than we were expecting, thanks to this lockdown during the Lunar New Year, where everybody goes to their places, families, etc. By today, some vaccines arrived. 150,000 doses were presented by the government of India, arrived February 22. It's AstraZeneca. They have already started the injections. Some 3,500 medical workers got the injections. And next day, on 23rd, we got 300,000 Chinese vaccines, also presented by China. Some private companies have brought few Sputnik doses. Some 20,000 doses are here. So vaccines are here in Mongolia. There are some options for people. The government is planning to have injections by priority list according to the law of vaccination in the country. And those who are vaccinated are expected to come anywhere, because the border will be open for those people who got vaccines by May 1st. That's the government plan. But also the government is not planning to have complete lockdown again. It will be only if there is any lockdown, there will be just local, depending on the strength of the infection. So that's about COVID-19. Second, the new government of Prime Minister Oyun Irden had suggested 10 trillion tugrix stimulus plan for economy. That 10 trillion, 2 of them are coming for supporting jobs. Mongolia had lost so far 68,000 jobs. because coronavirus, and it is expected, unless we have vaccination and other programs positive, then we expected to lose another 68 or so, twice more jobs. So that's why 2 trillion Turks are coming for supporting jobs or keeping jobs. 500 billion Turks go for agriculture projects, and 500 billion goes for youth employment support program. The new Prime Minister is suggesting to recruit young people, having them for 1 or 2 months special training for jobs, and having a certificate, they will be able to do some jobs required. And another 3 trillion Turks coming for supporting housing program. It means they will continue this mortgage plans, but this time mortgage will be not 8% like before, now 6%. 2 trillion Turks will be coming from the repo program by the Central Bank of Mongolia, where some 8 trillion Turks are in deposit of commercial banks against the central bank securities. So that means the money is available, but the banks are not. The banks are reluctant to loan the money because it was uncertain period for lockdowns. The companies were not very certain that they can continue their businesses. Now that time is finished, and hopefully the banks will be giving more loans. There are 2 trillion Turks for strategic projects like Tavon Tolgoy power, and also oil pipelines, some 500 kilometers to be made from the oil deposits to the new refinery in Dornqabi, Aymak. By now, we estimated that in 2020, the GDP shrank for 5.3%. And this year, the government is planning to recover that loss and to bring at the end of the year to the level of the end of 2019. Since the budget has own limits, because the law of deficit to be not more than 70% of the GDP equivalent, so these 10 trillion Turks are expected to be raised not from the budget, mostly from the banking sector. And the situation reminds me very much the case what happened in 2013. At that time, we had the housing prices have increased twice, and the Tugrik rate to US dollar have almost 80% have increased. So hopefully this time, knowing that practices, the Mongol Bank and the economy, the Ministry of Finance will have very careful approach. So the third, about what's happening in the political arena of Mongolia. People's Party, the ruling party, had postponed its historic 30th Congress for unclear date. This year is the 100th anniversary of the People's Revolution of Mongolia and this political party, which formerly named Mongolian People's Revolutionary Party. At this Congress, which originally planned to be on March 1st and 2nd, the expectation was that new Prime Minister was going to be ahead of the political party, which is not the case anymore. And now former Prime Minister Khurutsu, who is current head of this political party, who is planning to run for presidency. So that will be a quite interesting period to watch when this People's Party will have on Congress, and what will be the decisions of that Congress. And meanwhile, incumbent President Battulga is checking himself with the Constitutional Court whether he has a right or not to run again for presidency in coming election on June 9th. The question arrives because of the amendments in constitutions happened approved at the end of last year. And that new constitutions, or the amended constitutions, suggest that Mongolian president will be elected just for once, not 2 times as before for 4 years. This time it will be once and for 6 years. And whether this incumbent president has a right to run again or not, that's the matter that must make turbulent political life in Mongolia every day nowadays. The other note is Mongolian People's Revolutionary Party, headed by their former president, former prime minister, former speaker, Inkbayar, now is negotiating with People's Party, because it was the old name of the People's Party, but the merge of these 2 political parties. And there are several rumors about that negotiations, as Mr. Inkbayar, who almost certain that he will not be nominated again from his political party for the presidency, though his political party has 1 seat in the parliament, thus having a right to nominate on candidacy. Since he most likely be not able to have, most likely not having the opportunity to run again, the rumor is saying that his son will be running for the parliament seat, for 1 empty seat, because the former parliament member from that district of Ulaanbaatar city, 1 district, now he had resigned and he's running the Ulaanbaatar city, Somya Bazar. So let's see what's going to happen on political arena in Mongolia for next week. These are 3 main events I want to share my observations with you. And then thank you very much for watching. See you next week. Thank you.